and melody sings everywhere. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air. Leave home in the sunshine, dance through a meadow, or sit by a stream and just be. The little drop of water will gather your worries and carry them down to the sea. The little drop of water will gather your worries and carry them down to the sea. Men hunger for freedom, but don't see their dungeon is only the thought that they're bound. Desires are their shackles, the hope that tomorrow the doorway to joy will be found. Desires are their shackles, the hope that tomorrow the doorway to joy will be found. There's joy all around us, why wait till tomorrow? We've only this moment to live. A heaven within us is ours for the finding, a freedom no riches can give. A heaven within us is ours for the finding, a freedom no riches can give. There's joy in the heavens, a smile on the mountains, and melody sings everywhere. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air. The flowers are all laughing to welcome the morning. Your soul is as free as the air.
So welcome to Sunday service, friends. I'm joined by Nayaswami Narayan from Ananda Village, who is in charge of Crystal Clarity Publishers with his wife. Thank you. And previously, they were the spiritual directors of Ananda Los Angeles. And prior to that, he was involved with Ananda on the East Coast. So we're very happy to have him with us today. I'm going to read from Rays of the One Light. These are weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita, written by Swami Kriya-yoga, based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. This week's topic is the eternal now. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. When will I find God? Many devotees have asked this question. Because worldly goals require time usually for their fulfillment, we imagine time to be a factor on the spiritual path. And so it is, but only because we think it is. God is as much with us now as he will ever be. It is not he who needs to come to us. We need to come to him. And that process of coming is a matter of transforming our self-perception. In the Gospel of St. John, Christ says, "Say not ye, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh harvest? Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes, and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest." There is a practical teaching in these words, apart from their statement that we have God already, and have only to realize that truth. Jesus is saying, lift up your eyes and look. To hold the eyes uplifted is the best position for meditation. For the seat of superconsciousness lies at a point midway between the eyebrows, in the frontal lobe of the brain just behind that point. This point is known also as the Christ center. By lifting up your eyes and concentrating there, you will find it easier to enter the state of ecstasy. That is why saints in every religion have been observed during states of deep inner communion, with their eyes uplifted, focused on the inner light, white, as Jesus said, already to harvest. The Bhagavad Gita goes further into this meditative teaching. In the 6th chapter it states, holding the spine firm, the neck and head erect and motionless, let the yogi focus his eyes at the starting point of the nose, the point between the eyebrows. Let not his gaze roam elsewhere. In meditation, tell yourself, I have him already. I am alive forever in the divine light. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om.
Good morning, friends.
Morning.
I am very happy to be here. It's always a joy to come to Ananda, Sacramento. As I was driving down from the village this morning, I had some fun experiences. I passed this car wash here in Sacramento, and it said, Waxapalooza is here. And I thought, wow, I didn't know. Perhaps you didn't either. So I want to share with you from Whispers from Eternity. I think we know that this is Yogananda's book of prayer demands. And this is demand for opening the spiritual eye, the eastern star of wisdom. And I chose this because it was the solstice. You probably knew yesterday. This weekend's a holy weekend. What is the solstice? That's when the sun is at its peak, right? And the day is the longest. And then, of course, the days start getting shorter. But that outer sun is symbolic of the inner sun. Bless me, Father, that I behold the eastern star of wisdom. May it shine before my human eyes as much in daylight as in darkness. Long my eyes were blinded by the tinsel glitter of materiality. Seeing things always outwardly, I saw not the spirit behind and within them. I saw the mustard seed of matter, but spied not the oil of spirit that it contained. My third eye of wisdom is now opened. Oh, may it always be so. Let the gaze of my single eye of realization penetrate through every veil of matter to behold the infinite presence of Christ everywhere. Bless me, that my sacred wise thoughts, following this star of knowledge, lead me to the Christ in everything. That's the topic for us today, is how can we be led to the Christ in everything? How can we behold that light of wisdom behind everything, especially in a world that is so chaotic and, as we well know, war-stricken? How can we pierce this thick veil of materiality to spy, as Yogananda is saying, spirit behind and within? Well, that's why we need to learn to meditate. Because if we can't still our heart, still our mind, and learn this science of loving God, of concentrating within, then we're caught in what Yogananda called the dualistic turmoil, which we're familiar with today. This is why Krishna said, "Oh, get away, Arjuna, from my ocean of suffering and misery. This world without God is nothing but suffering and misery." But when we can feel his presence within, then we realize that he's playing like hide and seek with us. He's right behind. He's right within. You probably have heard that story of the Indian scriptures where God said, I'm going to play hide and seek, and I'm going to hide myself in the farthest depths of the ocean. And he said, no, in the farthest reaches of space. And then he said, oh, I know where I will hide myself, within the hearts of men. And it's like, I don't know if it was St. Augustine who said that, but man, he travels hither and yon. He goes around the world for treasures, but he passes by the greatest treasure of all, his own self. It's so utterly simple that we've forgotten, because we've become hypnotized by Maya, by the dualistic turmoil, by the change, the ups and downs, all of it. So what is the answer? It's so strikingly simple. It's to turn within. It's if we can. Swami said this is the topic today, the eternal now. If you read we have to publish this book, I'm putting myself on the spot, Rays of the Same Light. This is Rays of the One Light we read from. There's another book called Rays of the Same Light, which Dharmadas well knows are the expanded commentaries. Anyway, in Rays of the Same Light, Swami says about this reading, think about this. This is I need to get some water, excuse me. He says, worldly goals have their reality in time. Spiritual goals have their reality in eternity. You see, we think we've got to accomplish something, so we have to get out there. I'm from the East Coast, and when I was growing up, I played soccer, and my brother and my friends and I went to this gym, and this was like a total East Coast, Northeast experience. The guy who was selling us on the gym membership He's like, you're going to come in here. And he had this chart, of the human body, the man with muscles. He's like, you see your biceps? And he circled the biceps on the diagram. He's like, the 12 inches. You're going to come in here. You're going to make it happen. They're going to be 14. And like we were marveled, like our biceps would go from 12 inches to 14. So we signed up for the gym membership. Right? That's material goals. They have their realm in time. But spiritual goals have their reality in eternity, the eternal now. I'm so glad that the choir sang that song this morning because I was thinking about it. There's joy in the heavens. I don't know if you heard that one line. We've only this moment to live. That's one of the keys. Is like Yogananda said, go on a worry fast. This is his drama. Yes, of course, we have to take responsibility for our lives and our role in the dream drama of God. But it's his. Give it to him. Give him your heart. Give him your mind. Give him your soul. Give him your body. Give him everything. He knows better than you. Use your common sense. This isn't a call to not use our God-given common sense, but he wants us to use the moment that we have right now. It's now to the eternal now. You see, the present moment we can use as a golden gift, more than an opportunity. It's a gift. A friend of ours, their mother recently passed away. And I was reading how Master said that every person in our life, it's when they pass, when they leave this world, take it as it was a privilege. It was a privilege to have them in your life. Rather than us thinking what the world should give us, that they should be here longer. We don't know. It's all in Divine Mother's hands. So to use the present moment to get behind to the eternal now. And one of the ways we can do that is by having a sense of humor. We can get too weighty about our spiritual life and think that yes, we have to take it serious, but don't take yourself too seriously. And that reminds me, I'm pretty sure Dharmadas and Nirmala were there in India in 2005, I'm pretty sure. Swami was giving a talk in Gurgaon, and it was a big hall, maybe 500 people, Yogananda's Mahasamadhi, and he was giving this beautiful discourse on the liberating teachings of self-realization. And all of a sudden, you could hear like a pin drop. Everyone was rapt with attention on Swamiji. All of a sudden, cell phone rings. And it keeps ringing. And Swami said, please, could we please turn our cell phones off? He was very polite about it. And it kept ringing, and Swami said, oh dear. And it was his cell phone that was ringing. But you could hear, I'm pretty sure, maybe Dharmadas remembers, under his breath, he said, oh, Divine Mother, that was a good one. Right? She's playing with us. And the more that we get tense and we lose our center in the present moment. Desires are their shackles, the hope that tomorrow, a freedom.
The doorway to joy will be found.
Yeah. So we have these, desires keep us bound. That's why free yourself from desire. You say, free myself from desire. Well, you have the desire for God. That's the positive desire. Have the desire to share God. That's the desireless desires. We're talking about material desires that keep us bound because we get caught in that dualistic turmoil. I had this recent experience. Dharma Devi and I have a hobby farm. Maybe I told this story. I apologize. I repeat myself, but we have a cow and a couple goats and some livestock guardian dogs. And this one evening, I was putting the animals away. We have chickens, and I was trying to get the animals in the barn early for something we were going to do that evening. And the darn chickens wouldn't get in the barn. You know, chickens are very routine creatures. And I found myself getting irritated about the chickens not getting in the barn. And I was like, dag nabbit. And I had the brush for the cow. And I said, well, what can I do? And I was with the cow, and I said, well, I can just start brushing the cow. So I just started brushing her. And then she just started like sort of humming, like, you know, the cow like loves to be brushed. She falls into the eternal now, right? When you brush her. And I sort of fell into like this reverie of like, I'm brushing the cow. This is it. This is all that exists. And then 5 minutes later, without me thinking, I realized the chickens had come in to the barn of their own accord. I thought this is the perfect illustration of life. It's like we get so caught up. The things should be this way. The world shouldn't be like this. We shouldn't be at whatever. Well, a heaven within us is ours for the finding, a freedom no riches can give. That's the other line from that song. There's joy within us. This isn't just a platitude. That's the beautiful thing. What I love about Paramhansa Yogananda, our great masters, Swami's life of discipleship, is it's grounded. It's for you to, that's why Master called it self-realization, the capital S. It's for you to realize. It's for you to know, not intellectually, in every fiber of your being, that God is within you, that you can reclaim that birthright. And now is the time to share that divine gift. We have so much to share with the world, which desperately needs it right now. The world needs your love, Master said, so that the hearts filled with the darkness of faith can be dispelled by the searchlight of your love. It's like the light here in the Sacramento Valley. It's shining down, and there are certain fields that are fertile and receptive to that light and blossom from that light. That's what God's light is. He's shining down into every one of our hearts. And if we open ourselves to Him, that light can come in and we can share it with others. It's not our gift, it's His. Now, how do we do that? Again, that comes back to meditation and learning. We had this solstice this weekend. There are these still points. You know, the solstice is a still point of the year. The summer solstice, the winter solstice, and the equinoxes. Sri Yukteswar would have those kirtans, right, on those special times of the year. So just like you have these special times of the year, have special times in your day, every day, that you pause and that you meditate. And I don't mean practice the techniques. The techniques are powerful to get us into that still point, to get us into that eternal now that's behind all of the vicissitudes of life. And when we do that, when we stop and we become still and we feel the presence of God, then it doesn't matter if whatever happens, because we have that faith and that knowing that our reality, our spiritual goal, lives in eternity. It doesn't live in this changing world. We live in the changeless presence of God. And that faith, that knowing, that's one of the greatest gifts that we can give the world today. So let's do it.
Thank you. It's a joy to have Narayan here and his incredible sense of humor. I just always get such a kick out of it. I was there when that happened, by the way, when Swami's phone went off. And, it was like it's one of these moments where, 300, 500 people are all wincing because it's like, this incredible vibration that Swami's projecting and sharing with everybody has been disturbed. And Swami was mildly annoyed because it was happening. And then and it's on film, by the way, and it would be lovely to make a little reel out of this. Just catch the 30 seconds that it happens because you see this dawning realization that it's in his own pocket, and then he pulls it out. By the way, it was Sean Mashore from Crystal Clarity.
Yeah, it was a Crystal Clarity call.
His predecessor, calling from America. But anyway, oh my God. But that moment of realization when it happened, it's like Swami got this grin on his face. It was like, oh, the joke's on me. But it's really helpful to realize that because so often, Yogananda used a colorful phrase. So often when we are obliged to deal with change or obliged to deal with the unexpected, we respond with what he called humorless indignation. And, and it's not, as a life path, humorless indignation is not kind of where we want to go. Let's just put it that way. It's much nicer to just sort of learn that flexibility to say, Divine Mother, whatever it is you bring me, I will accept. I will receive it as coming from you and try to make something useful of it. During those years in India, many, many times Swami was ill or he was injured. He fell down numerous times. In one in particular, we were walking on a sort of a rough sidewalk, and I made the mistake of letting him be about 2 feet in front, maybe 3 feet in front of me. And he was down before I could even think. It just, that, the reach for air, and there wouldn't have been anything for me to grab anyway. I wasn't going to get his shirt, And I learned I had to do this. I had to have him, a foot to 18 inches behind me, which is awkward because typically he wanted to be in front, and typically he did lead energetically. He did lead, but I could get my arm out in front of him if he stumbled or whatever. This is, he's getting on in years at this point. He was probably in his 80s at that point. But interestingly, though his body was suffering and challenged in many, many ways, I always remember thinking, and I've shared this before, that if he walked into a door or if he walked into a wall, the first thing that would hit would be his heart, would be his chest, because he led, his posture was just like this. And he lived his life that way, very upright posture. I saw an article recently talking about posture, the importance of posture, scientific evidence of, and it was just talking about energy levels, talking about the fact that when the posture, it used to be 100 years ago, it was trained into kids. Sit upright, don't slouch. I can even remember that as a kid, but it in the intervening years, it's disappeared. And now we practice slouch mudra. And, and I don't recommend it. Or even worse is couch potato mudra. That's really not desirable either. But that willingness to exercise just that little bit of will, that little bit of self-control, helps to do what Narayan was just talking about. We sit for meditation, in the little reading that I read where the Bhagavad Gita is talking about concentrating at the point between the eyebrows, let not the yogi's gaze roam elsewhere. Okay, well, it's one thing to keep your eyes upraised, but to keep your mind upraised and not have it go roaming all hither and yon, that's a good, serious challenge. And I will just follow what Narayan was saying about learning meditation. By the way, speaking of which, there's going to be a new meditation class with Dr. Michelle starting on the 2nd of July. Shameless advertisement right here at the church. Anyway, but it's really helpful to learn some basic principles. It isn't rocket science, and it's simple, as Narayan said. I will add that it's not necessarily easy, but it is simple and it is profound. Because when we go into that stillness, I'll just share an experience that I had. We didn't take very many pilgrimages in India because our lives revolved around Swami and the work that we were starting over there. But I did get one briefly. I happened to have to lead it. But anyway, during that pilgrimage, we were in the Rishikesh area, and we had a meditation in a cave, Vashishta Guha, near Rishikesh, along the Ganges. And it's a place where a saint lived for many years. And more recently, another saint lived for many years. And Swami took seclusion in a cave sort of next door to that cave, you might say, like 50 or 100 yards away, closer to the Ganges. Anyway, we went into that cave for a meditation. The meditation probably lasted an hour to an hour and a half. It was a very interesting experience because it was a profound meditation in there. And when we came out, and none of us had, there's no cell phone signal inside a mountain. There's no anything, all there was one little candle lit, and that was kind of way far away. When we came out to the sunshine, it was sort of like, what year is it? I mean, really, seriously, it was like we stepped out of time, and when we came back and rejoined it, it was like you couldn't really say, did 2 hours go by? Did 6 hours go by? Did 10 minutes go by? It really wasn't, there was no time involved in it. And it's a profound realization. The eternal now, which is part of this reading, I don't know if I dare try this. I might just try it. In my phone somewhere, I have February 2nd from Do It Now, or Living Wisely, Living Well. I always remember the original title, Do It Now. Swami wrote a little aphorism about time. And if I get lucky, I can find it. And if I don't get lucky, I can't. Okay, we're going to give this all right. Think of time as a, do you have, are you looking at it right there? No. Okay, all right. If you do find it, you can shout it out. I'll paraphrase it, which is murder. Think of time as an extension outward from your own center. Time moves not only like a river from past to present to future, but it also revolves around its own center in the changeless now, your own center in the changeless now. That's my best paraphrase. It's a little more elegant and a little more streamlined in the actual. It's Groundhog Day, by the way. Do you have it? Oh, brilliant, dude. Think of time as a radiation outward from your own center. Past and future move not only directionally like a river, they also revolve around their center in the changeless now. That is a profound meditation because we think, okay, yesterday, last week, last year, my birth, all the crazy things that happened before I was born, dim, distant future, past, etc., all the way up till now. Then we think of the future, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 5 minutes from now. Rooted in time, we deal with endless change. And unless and until we have learned, as is written in the Festival of Light, to perceive that peace awaits us in the unknown, until we get to that point, change is not a comfortable place to be. Change is sort of like the enemy, the scary. And how will it turn out? What will happen? What will become of me? All of those things, we go round and round and around about that. We get into the eternal now, and it's like all of that drama disappears. I had this experience in college before I even knew formal meditation, but I had had a few experiences of it doing yoga and doing pranayams after yoga. And I had this period of a couple of weeks where I was basically in that space of stillness, going to classes and, etc. And I just wanted to be quiet. I just wanted to be still. And I withdrew from eating at the tables with my dorm mates, even though I was very much friends with all of them. And some days later, I got called into the apartments of the couple who kept track of our dorm. They were grad students. And I thought, oh no, now what am I going to get busted for? And there were plenty of things it could have been. And I thought, oh dear, what is, and they asked me, is something wrong? You're not eating with everybody. Is there a problem that we should know about? And I was like, oh my God, there is so not a problem. Mm-hmm. It's like, I didn't even know how to explain it. It was like, I'm in bliss and I just don't want to screw it up, which of course sailed right over the top of their heads. But it is possible to have that experience of just diving into stillness. And we have to renew it, we have to remember it, we have to reaffirm it in ourselves every day. And that's what meditation helps us to do. And it doesn't have to be hours and hours, although it helps to do more once you learn the practice and can dive into the enjoyment of it. But even a few minutes. I remember Swami also in India when we were there with him, he said, look, I'm easy. I'll negotiate with you. You spend 2 minutes brushing your teeth. Spend 2 minutes brushing your consciousness. Mm-hmm. It's worth it. Mm-hmm. It'll really make a difference. You think if you miss those 2 minutes, your mouth feels all weird and funky. It's just not good. Well, if you miss the meditation, your consciousness feels all weird and funky, and it's just not good to have that. So let's dive into that eternal now in bliss, in joy beyond all the drama, the commotion, the suicidal wars. This is a phrase that Yogananda used. We don't know. We're faced with the unknown, and it's not fun. It's not enjoyable to think about. But stay in the light and stay sharing the light, and God is with us always.
Peace chaos the mountains, peace chaos the sky. Kindly when starlight enfolds us, peace is its lullaby. gave us the song. First songs that call us to welcome day and fresh labors begun. Amen. Amen. Peace gave us the seasons. Peace gave us the rain. Cruel clouds that gather to bless us. Mist hands that soothe away pain. Amen. Amen. Peace gave us our heart's love. Peace gave us our smiles. Rays of God's presence within us. Life and all strife reconciles.